Episode 7, Back to the Bar.
Saturday night in Barton County usually meant the garage, cold beer, and music spilling into the street. But tonight was different. Marty had a big announcement. "Fellas," Marty said, setting his guitar case gently on Frank's workbench. "I got a gig tonight. First real one in a while. I want y'all there." "Hell yeah," Ricky hollered, shirtless as ever, flexing like he was walking into a prize fight. "Where at?" "Civic Center, State Fair. Maybe the big stage at Walmart." Marty scratched the back of his neck. Neon Moon Saloon. The name dropped like a hammer. Frank froze with his beer halfway up. The Neon Moon. "Yep, they're under new ownership now. Trying to make it a music spot," Marty said nervously. Harry tipped his jar with a smirk. "Neon Moon, huh? Place probably still runs on your duct tape and cuss words." Frank's eyes narrowed, his voice quieter. "Wasn't just a place. It was my bar, my kitchen, my stage, my Neon Moon." Doug slurped from his giant soda like it was a dramatic pause. "Guess we're all drinking under the neon tonight." Diane blew out smoke from the doorway. "Great. That dump always smelled like stale beer and regret." Ricky grinned, raising his can. "So you'll fit right in." Mamaw Diane blew out smoke. "Don't call me Mamaw, Ricky. I've buried plants tougher than you." Ricky cackled. "That's 'cause you water 'em with Bush Light." Doug chimed in, deadpan. "Hell, I've seen Ricky kill a plastic fern, so maybe Diane's not the problem." Ricky puffed his chest. "That fern was defective." Frank shook his head. "Lord help me, y'all kill houseplants like it's a county fair competition." Diane flicked her ash. "Better than killing brain cells like Ricky." "Hey," Ricky shot back. "These are premium brain cells imported from Stroh's Brewery." The garage burst into laughter, the air thick with beer and cigarette smoke, the perfect Barton County pregame. Normally Hudson would have been right there, phone in hand, catching every word. But this weekend he was staying over at his other grandparents' place, meaning the night belonged strictly to the grown-ups. The flickering neon sign still buzzed out front, Neon Moon glowing half blue, half dead. Frank pushed the door open and stepped inside for the first time in years. The place was brighter, scrubbed clean, fresh paint, new lights, pool tables in the back where sticky booths used to be. His chest tightened. "It ain't the same. Place looks wrong," he muttered. Doug scanned the room, slurping his soda. "Looks like someone finally mopped the floors. I don't trust it." Harry sniffed the air like a hunting dog. "Still smells like beer. Just newer beer. Imported regret." Diane wrinkled her nose. "Same shame, different lighting." Ricky leaned against the wall, eyes wide. "Man, I used to get black out here. Didn't even need a ride home. Just rolled into the ditch out back." Frank ran his fingers across the polished bar counter. He remembered when it was sticky, scarred, alive. He could almost hear his own voice barking orders to the kitchen, spinning country tracks as FF tunes, serving wings until 2 a.m. The young bartender broke his trance. "What'll it be, sir?" Frank blinked, steadying himself. "Whiskey? Neat." The kid poured. Frank stared into the glass. This wasn't just a drink, it was a time machine. Ricky slapped him on the back hard enough to rattle the counter. "Brother, you built this place. Ought to get a plaque on the wall." Frank's smile was faint. "I built it, but I couldn't keep it. That's the truth." Marty's set began with shaky fingers on the strings, but his voice grew stronger with every verse. A small crowd clapped along, some swaying, some yelling for songs he didn't know. Ricky whooped so loud half the bar turned. "Play Chattahoochee." "Shut up, Ricky." Marty hissed into the mic, but he grinned anyway, confidence growing. Doug leaned toward Frank. "Bet you $10 Ricky gets thrown out before last call." Frank smirked. "I'll take that bet, but only if Diane doesn't throw hands first." Harry stood up slowly, setting his mason jar down. "Gotta go pay my water bill." Ricky hollered after him. "Don't forget the late fees." Doug deadpanned. "He won't be back till halftime. Man treats the urinal like a recliner." Diane blew smoke, rolling her eyes. "Long as he washes his damn hands, I don't care." Frank chuckled faintly, shaking his head as Marty strummed on. From the stage, Marty tried to lean into a ballad, but Ricky heckled again. "Free bird, Ricky. I swear to God." Marty barked mid-song before turning back to the mic. Doug deadpanned. $5 says he actually tries it. Frank smirked. "If he does, I'm leaving." The music carried, and people began to drift toward the bar. An older man clapped Frank on the shoulder. "Well, I'll be damned. Frank McElfresh, you used to run this joint, didn't you? I swear you poured me more beers than I can count. You always remembered my brand to Long Neck Bud, Tweestuff." Frank cracked a grin. Hard to forget a man who damn near kept the lights on by himself. The man laughed and shuffled back to his table, leaving Frank with a flicker of pride. A woman leaned in from the next stool. Frank, you're the one who kept this place open through those hard winters, weren't you? My daddy said if it wasn't for you, Barton County wouldn't have had anywhere to gather. Her words hit deeper than she knew. Not just about beer or burgers, but about the blood, sweat, and years he'd poured into keeping these walls alive. Another gray-haired regular raised his glass from across the room. This man served me the best wings in the county. Hell, Frank, you were the glue that held half this town together on Saturday nights. Ricky butted in, grinning. And half the county's hangovers on Sunday mornings. Frank nodded slowly, letting it sink in. For a moment, he felt like his bar still breathed. A group of college kids breezed past, laughing. One of them glanced at Frank and snorted, "Who's the old guy?" His buddy smirked, loud enough for Frank to hear. Probably just some washed-up regular that never left. Frank set his whiskey down hard enough to rattle the counter. His jaw tightened. He turned, eyes sharp. "You boys got no idea what the hell you're talking about." The laughter died quick. One of them muttered, "All right, old man, chill." Frank leaned in just enough to make them feel the weight. "Son, back when this place was alive, you wouldn't have even made it through the door. I built these walls. I bled in M. Watch your mouth before I show you what washed up looks like." The group went quiet, shuffling off without another word. Before Frank could even sit back down, Ricky hollered across the bar loud enough for the whole room to hear. "Hell yeah, Frank. Tell M. That's Barton County royalty right there." Doug raised his soda cup, smirking. Better be glad Frank's mellowed with age. 10 years ago, he'd have knocked your ass clear through that jukebox. The college kids kept their heads low, slipping out toward the pool tables. Ricky strutted over, slapping Frank on the back. "Brother, you still got it. Put the fear of God in those little TikTok cowboys." Frank sat back, picked up his glass again. Pride smoldered behind his calm stare. Half the room remembered him, half the room didn't. But nobody was going to disrespect him. The crowd roared when Marty launched into Friends in Low Places. Ricky jumped in like he was the backup singer Garth never wanted. "You're my boy, Marty," he hollered, singing so off-key that half the bar cringed. Frank let the smile crack open and joined in. For a moment, the neon moon belonged to him again. As the song faded, Frank noticed the TV above the bar flipped to NASCAR highlights, cars roaring 3 wide at Talladega. The sound was low, but the pictures were enough. Harry eased back into the stool beside him, drying his hands on his jeans, mason jar on the other. For a long beat, the two just watched the screen in silence, neon flickering across their faces. Finally, Harry spoke, voice quieter than usual. "You'd have been good at it, Frank. Real good." Frank turned, surprised. His dad rarely handed out praise without a joke attached. But Harry kept his eyes on the screen, taking a slow sip like he hadn't said anything at all. Frank gave a small nod. No joke. No comeback. Just that moment hanging in the smoke and neon. Then Diane's voice cut through the bar like a firecracker. She was already squared up with a woman in a Loretta Lynn shirt, cigarette in hand. "Cute shirt," Diane said. But Loretta's best was in the 60s. After that, wasn't the same. The woman bristled. "Excuse me. Coal Miner's Daughter is a masterpiece." Diane scoffed. "Overrated." Frank groaned. "Lord help us." Within minutes, Diane and the stranger were in a full-blown country music debate, voices carrying over Marty's set. "Ladies," Ricky hollered, "we got a referee right here." He pointed at Doug. Doug raised his hands. "Don't drag me into it. I like Travis Tritt." "Travis Tritt," Diane snapped. "Don't you dare compare him to Loretta." The whole bar laughed. Diane stormed off muttering about ignorance. Harry sipped his jar again. "I came for music. Got cage fighting instead." The bar had settled into its late-night rhythm. Marty's guitar case was closed. Diane was still griping about Loretta Lynn. Ricky was halfway to being cut off, and Doug had discovered fried pickles like they were treasure. After Marty's set, the gang gathered around him. Ricky declared, "Brother, you nailed it. Best I've heard since karaoke night." Diane cut him down instantly. "You forgot the words halfway through, Jolene," and cried into the mic. Harry added without looking up, "Still sounded better than Ricky sober." The whole bar roared. Ricky raised his arms like a wrestler. That was performance art. People felt my pain. Doug sipped his soda, deadpan, felt it. They left. Ricky stumbled up with a chicken wing in his fist. "Frank, I swear, we should reopen this place ourselves. Call it Neon Moon 2, The Reckoning. I'll be the bouncer." Doug chimed in. "I'll run the fryer. Diane can handle customer complaints. We'll be millionaires in 6 weeks." Diane blew smoke in his face. "You wouldn't last 6 hours." Frank shook his head. 6 minutes. The gang cracked up, and for a moment it felt like old times. Just then, Larson leaped up onto a table, snagged a stray French fry, and darted off. The bar erupted in laughter as staff tried to chase him down. "There's our mascot," Ricky hollered, pointing at the bulldog like he'd just won Best in Show. Frank chuckled. "Only one of us pulling his weight tonight." The night wound down in true Barton County fashion, Ricky singing back up so loud the bartender threatened to cut him off. Diane declaring everyone under 40 musically illiterate. Doug lecturing a drunk stranger about proper ranch-tupical ratios. Frank sat back at the bar, whiskey low in his glass, soaking it in. The neon moon wasn't his anymore, but for one night, it felt alive the way it used to. Leaving was harder than he thought. He glanced up once more at the buzzing sign. Neon Moon Saloon. Ricky slung an arm around his shoulder. "You good, brother?" Frank nodded slowly. "Yeah, just feels like standing in two places at once. Who I was then, and who I am now." The neon buzzed overhead as the gang disappeared into the Barton County night. One saloon, one neon moon. One man caught between memory and the moment. This was life at Frank's place.